conference will now be recorded.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call this meeting to order on January 23rd. And there's a couple changes to the agenda. We're going to move Road and Bridge to 12:45. The Health Department has canceled today. And Jonah would like an executive session.
This conference will now be recorded.
Still got the, it was still for North Dakota, sorry. Yeah.
Anything else? Anybody else?
Executive session is for what? Property?
Potential property.
Where did you want to put that?
Where?
After
Towards the end, so everybody don't bounce back in.
After Park and Lake, I guess.
Yeah.
Because the weed department
If canceled.
is crap cost off too. 215.
I don't believe there's anyone online for public comment. We do have Commissioner Mueller online. So are you ready to go into administrative?
Yes.
Okay. I think I might have them. Oh, I do have the right packet. It's been a minute since that was put together. Okay, I have the minutes of January 17th.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, got moved and seconded by Ken. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. 5-0.
Okay. In your packet, we have the initial invoices for the 4PC projects to run fiber to the annex, and also the deposit for the security project that was approved at the last meeting. And so we'd look for approval of those invoices, and then once those are approved, I also have early checks for approval.
Just need a motion?
Mhm.
Dollars and cents, there it is, 12,000.
Sorry.
Motion to approve $12,211.68
Second.
to the 4PC.
All those in favor?
Or wait.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pass 5-0.
One of those we did encumbers, that's from last year's budget, so. Then we do have the actual early check for approval, and that is for the invoice that you just approved, and so we need approval of the payment.
Make a motion to approve the
Get to speak louder. You can't hear us.
$12,211.68.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and then if I'll sign the board there. in regard to that project at the annex, the remodel and the security, I know at one point it was discussed about putting in a solid door for the EMS director's office where it goes to the hallway. And that was not included in the scope of work that was previously approved. So I do have a quote from the contractor that did the rest of that work, and the cost to purchase and install the solid core door would be $550.
Is that the south door?
That's the door after you walk into the building,
Right.
that if
Oh,
you would
okay.
go left and go
Into the
into that EMS director's office.
But they already got a door.
It's a hollow core, sound travels through it, and since we're doing all the security and everything else, and people would potentially be able to hear a confidential conversation. So if we're gonna do that, this might be the time to just go ahead and get it taken care of. So it's up to you all. $550.
$550, I'd make that motion to go ahead with
Second.
All those in favor?
it. Aye.
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 Pass 5-0.
Okay, thanks. Jonah, were you the second on that? Okay, thanks. I do have one more recommendation on the pay plan before you get to the approval of the raises or the final sign off. And so basically, just one point of clarification and then a recommendation. So in the transfer station, the truck driver position, you all bumped the pay on that. It's still only gosh, I put something on the table for you, but I can't find my copy. It does require CDL, obviously. And so my recommendation would be to move that position one pay band to where it would be even with the equipment operator 2 at both the transfer station and road and bridge. I don't remember what step letters those are because I
That
didn't
just
keep a
affects
copy.
one employee, one truck driver?
It affects, it does, but it would be for that position,
Right.
like for if you need to go hire someone, it would set the range for that position.
Just move it from step D to step E then.
Yes, it'd be one step higher in the classification plan, and that would,
Anybody have any discussion over it? Is there any way we're affecting our road and bridge truck drivers then? Do you know?
we don't have anybody with that title in
Okay.
road and bridge, they're all
Okay.
equipment operator 2s or 1s or 3s,
Okay.
so,
Well-
no, I think it would probably make it more equal.
You know, it says that on that paragraph, recommend moving truck driver CDL and transfer station, step D to E to match transfer station 2 and road and bridge. Equipment operator 2.
Right.
Yeah.
Which are our other CDL positions.
No other problems?
What about the one up above there?
That is just information. You don't need to do anything on that one. It's appropriate.
Okay.
And I do have one point of clarification on the electeds after I get some, if we could take action on this, if the board is so inclined.
I'll make
I
a
move
motion.
to accept the recommendation.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
5-0.
Okay. I appreciate that. I think that will be a good help on our pay plan. The other point of clarification I want to make before you sign off on the raises that have been approved and or the elected officials' salary resolution, you did make a motion to raise all sheriff's office employees $3 an hour. When the sheriff was here, he excluded himself from that. You made a motion to raise all electeds $2 an hour. So the way the resolution is prepared is with the sheriff having a $2 an hour plus a one step, like all the other electeds. I just wanted to make sure that was your intent or whether you intended for the sheriff to be at $3 plus a step.
Well, the sheriff with the $2 was included in your budget impact.
Yes.
And that's where I guess I'm still.
I just want to make sure that, because I just want to make sure that I did it the
That's the
way
way I
it was
understood it.
intended. Okay.
So there'll be no changes.
Okay. So I just wanted you to be aware of what was there, so.
So you make this resolution and it passes, we cannot discuss commissioner's pay? Or can we
You-
discuss it later on at any time?
You can discuss it at any time. You know, we typically set a resolution setting the elected officials' pay for the year. It doesn't mean you can't amend or do a new resolution that supersedes this one.
I don't know, Dave's still not in the room, but.
Right.
But I am. I held you off last week so that I could be in the room, so I mean, if we wanna discuss it.
I could set it on the agenda for next week.
I think that's, so everybody can be here. Dave's probably gonna be back, so everybody can be here.
So as far as the other, you know, if we do it, if we wait till next week, that affects the payday for, potentially for all the others, except you did take action to approve, so is it a problem if we don't have the resolution in place before the first payday, or
We can always come back and change the county commissioners.
do you wanna adopt a
I'd
resolution
almost
and
rather they adopted it, given that you're gonna go ahead and dispense.
and then you could change it?
Yep, and change it.
I'm thinking
And you
about
can even
it.
specify in the minutes if you'd like that, you know, you wish to go ahead and take that up, but would like this in place.
Okay.
Thinking about the sheriff
That's a
position too.
resolution.
The sheriff?
It's 2022, excuse me, 2023
There we go.
dash
For discussion.
03.
Yeah, I think,
Later when five others are here.
well, I think, yeah, 'cause I know what I
23's three.
motioned on, it was a budget impact, but honestly, that whole department seems right, I mean, so, just.
Well, I'm not saying one way or another,
Right,
I'm
right.
just I just want you to make sure that you know what you were doing.
Right, so,
Yeah, I'll make the motion that we approve resolution 20-23-03 on salaries of
Second.
elected officials.
Okay, I heard Commissioner Mueller
Okay,
second.
Mueller seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye, there it is.
Okay. 5-0.
And then I have the document that I had told you I would prepare so that you could sign off on all the raises at once instead of doing a whole
Right.
bunch of salary sheets for all those that you've done.
Thank you.
And so this is for the raises that have been approved. So just didn't need to take action since maybe we
Yep.
have. So just a signature on those.
One page.
Yeah, there's one signature.
Should we get to a black pen?
Should be blue, that's official.
Oh, I'll look like it.
Okay. Once it's photocopied, you'll never know.
I have to come to her early.
That an administrator, just like that.
There's the other one right there below you. Kent. Kent. Kent.
Oh,
check my box.
Thank you.
See, you leave here and you're nobody, see?
Forgot about me.
Yeah.
In your packet, you have several documents for the Kianza project. The first one is the notice of award, which just needs to be signed. This one came from the engineer of the projects.
Multiple pages. Let's see there, she's got it. Yeah, multiple pages.
Okay, so the next document is the project agreement, which,
It's supposed to be about cat, right? Yeah. It's not about act.
oh yeah. It says Wild Act Construction, but.
Just wasn't sure what they were offering.
You know, so, living on the edge.
Is that both places?
What?
I signed both.
Well, we need to take action to approve this agreement,
Okay.
and then you'll sign on the blues.
Make a motion to authorize the chair to sign document 500 agreement.
And to approve the agreement.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
5-0.
Who seconded, I'm sorry.
Very good. Yeah, he didn't mention that.
Well, I'm not saying we never found those changes, so we don't know.
I don't know what was that.
Well, in our memory, it's not always.
That's the other one, I guess they wanted original
We may
signatures.
run into it.
That's what I keep thinking. I keep thinking maybe we were.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
It's over in that area.
Yeah.
Explain that if you want to read it.
Okay. Yeah, I'll tell you. Yeah, I know.
Not in- Not for
This is the same thing.
Yes. I should have told you there's 2 copies of everything for you to sign.
Let's just keep hanging on stuff.
Just check it.
The next thing that I have is the change order. So it'd be change order number 1, which would reduce the contract amount due to us providing the some of the materials. Right. So we need approval of change order number 1, and then.
Make a motion to approve change order number 1.
Oh, they do.
The reconstruction of Kansas,
Yeah.
Kansas Road,
Kind of what I was thinking. Oh, man, you might want to.
with Wildcat.
Second for that.
Yes. Sorry.
Randy, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
5-0.
And there's 2 copies of that for you to sign.
Well, that's what they're proposing. But me and Uncle Larry, Ron, yeah, of course, we did some. If we're gonna go that way at all, we're gonna have to do it. And we can probably do it. And get more. That way, this is yeah, I don't know if y'all remember Larry. This is Ron Nursery. And this is.
I do have a salary sheet for the administrative specialist in the appraiser's office.
Ashton Daniels. The starting salary of $2,299.
What department's that?
Appraiser's office. Office Administrator 1.
Did you see one or something in there? Friday, you have to be in the office. She was sitting there in the office Friday.
Oh, okay. I didn't go in the
Oh,
office.
okay.
I was out in the hall.
Okay.
Gotta maintain the damn thing. Why charge you for it? Right. Yeah. They won't. I just trying to figure out the best way for all of us, that way we mitigate everybody's troubles. If we have to keep that in road, we're gonna have a lot of trouble. Yeah. But if that was the road and we let us use the bridge, I'm fine with that, but the other way is put the bridge on the ground.
Okay, I do have a salary sheet for Bruce Burke. Sheriff Sawyer wants to bring him in as a deputy at $23.10 an hour. And that is step 11 of the pay plan. So that actually has to be approved by a vote of the board. So, to bring somebody in at that level, I don't have authority for that. So that's,
Is this the deputy for Peabody?
It's for the chief. And totally based on experience.
It's all candidate, yeah.
A lot of years of experience. Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve Bruce Burke, deputy, for $23.10 an hour.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I want them to maintain that bridge. I know, that's all concrete here. That floods over. So, which is your Oh, yeah, that's right here.
Just sign it. Just sign it.
Okay. You gotta sign it too.
Yeah, I know this guy.
Get in the way back.
A year ago, an officer would come in at $16 or $17 an hour, and it's coming in at $23.10 now.
well, that's step 11. That's not where we typically would start someone.
Okay.
An officer coming in with our new ranges should start somewhere around 18.
18, so
Be somebody out of the academy.
that's, huh?
Maybe somebody out of the academy.
Yeah, most like 4, yeah.
That's why I needed you to approve it, because
Yeah.
that's not typical.
It's a different world.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree.
He lives just south, doesn't he?
South of county line, about 2 miles.
Still keeps him close for response. What we've been forced to pick up.
But I don't know what your school would cost you. 4 months or 5 months of pay.
What's the school?
New budget's gonna reflect a lot of this.
I mean, forget that ARPA money. I'm just saying, forget it.
I believe that's all I have.
Okay. We have 5 minutes before
It's 12:55 right now.
everything, or just wait?
Well, I guess I'd probably like to have a 5-minute executive session for property acquisition.
Okay. Well, I move that we set an executive session for 5 minutes pertaining to property acquisitions pursuant to KSA 75-4319B from 12:55 to 1 o'clock.
With who included?
Want to include the commissioners, Bryce Coble, Tina, council.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
5-0.
You wanna call Dave?
I'll call Jonah.
Okay.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, we're now back in public session, and we're gonna open up public hearing on the legal bridge closing.
Also, I believe you need to announce no action coming out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
We'll come out of executive session, no action was taken. And we will limit the public comments to 5 minutes per person.
If there's landowners here, we'll talk more than that. Okay.
We don't want to limit it.
Well, if there's landowners, that's who we wanna listen to.
Okay. So we just sit down here.
If anybody wants to speak, we need to use the microphone. We've got some people online.
Please put your, sir, did you sign in?
I signed in for him.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody want to lead off?
I'll lead off.
State your name and
My name's Chase Gann. I'm a landowner adjacent to this county bridge number 70. I own property to the east side of that, and I have property all around that section 13 there. And then I have interest as far as lease ground on the section to the west there. So I use this road fairly often. And the road as it is now is in disrepair. Of course, the bridge does need to be repaired or abandoned. I don't have any problem with abandoning the bridge and closing the road, that particular road, but not as it's stated in this proposal here. I would recommend that the county closes the road and abandons the road starting 20 feet south of 230th and proceeding south to approximately 150 foot north of 220th. A couple reasons why is me and my neighbors, we use that bridge throughout the farming season for access to the property. There's no other way to cross French Creek without the bridge, you couldn't cross French Creek there. So on the quarter just to the east of this bridge, that French Creek dissects that quarter. So to get from the north side and the south side, I'd have to drive clear around the section otherwise. But if they close that road and left it to the landowners, then the county wouldn't have liability associated with that bridge, and we could cross it at our own risk, so to speak. There's several reasons why. I don't know if you guys want to discuss all the reasons why. If you're gonna close the road, two dead ends, one from the north and one from the south, creates a safety issue as far as ambulance and fire response. If they was to head north on 220th without proper signage, and typically they don't read signs anyway when they're in a hurry, they'll come up to a dead end road there and have to go clear around. To where if it was cut off at each of the east-west roads there, then there wouldn't be a dead end issue. And then not to mention the other riff-raff and some of the other troubles associated with dead end roads. So, and these are my neighbors here, we all own land down that road, and we've discussed all this in length, and I'm sure I'm missing some things, but I'm speaking on their behalf also at their request. And so, to state it simply, we're opposed to this proposal as it's stated. But if it was amended to vacate the road from basically 150 foot north of 220th to 20 foot south of 230th, we'd be in favor of such closing.
I was out there this morning and it was frozen, so I was able to travel it. And other than the landowner, nobody's got any business being out there.
That's right.
So if we vacate that road, Brad, is there an issue with that bridge? I mean, can we vacate it?
Well, yeah, subject to confirmation of that, I mean, I would look at trying to do that, because obviously if we're gonna go ahead and vacate the road on either side of it, by definition, it's gonna be abandoned as well. I need to, Bryce and I haven't talked exactly about that process, but that's what we'd be attempting to do.
And that would be left up to them to make sure that they can provide written legal access to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, getting rid of the bridge is going to be or getting the bridge off the county's list.
Yeah, that's the issue.
I'm sorry, it's okay for Bryce, can you speak into the mic so that people
So
like it?
by vacating, that doesn't automatically take it off the list?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the state,
Yes.
we still would have to be absolutely certain that was removed.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna assume that if I call them and say, hey, we're vacating this and treating it very much like we do any other vacation, where the property owners on each side that are contiguous end up owning one half, that would include that bridge.
Right. What I was saying was the biggest thing was just getting rid of the liability for the bridge off of the NBI, the National Bridge Inventory. That's what we're looking at, so.
So we give up liability by vacating though?
Yes. Yeah, once we no longer own it, at that point, it's no longer open to the public, and we don't have any interest in it, so. And the only way you'd ever reclaim it would be eminent domain if you ever.
I mean, it makes the most sense when there's no reason for anybody else to be out there.
Yeah.
Had it not been frozen, I wouldn't have looked at it today. I guarantee you I wouldn't have.
It's not in good repair.
Would you block off the road at either end, or?
Well, we do something similar to what Chase has proposed.
I would like to make one more statement for clarification. Just so I'm clear, on the South Road, 220th, accessing this particular road going north, there is a bridge that crosses a secondary tributary to French Creek. That bridge is in good repair, as far as I know. And to close this road, we would want to close the road just north of that bridge, which according to my measurements is approximately 150 feet north of the center of 220th. So that the county would be responsible for that particular bridge.
That's not a fracture critical bridge, is it?
There's a box culvert, I think.
No, it's just a box.
Yeah, from what I'm looking
Trying
on the
to
map,
remember where, yeah.
it's hard to tell on the map, but it's,
Okay.
It's a box.
Yeah, it's a box looking thing.
For drainage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, it's for that.
I mean, it's in good repair. It's in good shape. Yeah. So just to be clear, of my recommendation would be to close it just north of that bridge, which is approximately 150 foot north of 220th, and then all the way to 230th.
everybody else is on the same page, I guess. I'm taking for granted.
We are. And there would, we would need to probably put some gates or something at each end to where, so we could open to go in and do the farming that needs to be done.
Not can be done with vacation, can't be done with the road closure.
Well, that's what I was gonna bring up was, you know, I like the idea, but the only way we're going to prevent people from driving down there is gates and or whatever else. If we put up guardrail across the road, whatever else, they're still gonna be able to go around it. So I guess that's.
Well, you put a guardrail up, you're
Well,
causing a problem.
if you vacate the road, that reverts the land back to the landowner.
Right.
It's the
Yes.
landowner's responsibility
Yes.
for the gates and
Yes.
just like it is any other property.
Yeah, and so that would be the only thing that I could see, and it would, you know, obviously affect them as well, because they don't want anybody else down there either. So that's one I can think of, because if they still want to use that with vehicles or whatever else they want to, trying to put a permanent crossing all the way across is gonna be very difficult. So whatever we could work out with that, so.
Well, once it's vacated, I guess it's kind of up to the landowners, whatever kind of barrier they want.
Well, that's,
150 feet off the east-west road. You can pretty well tell you're out of road in a second, so you won't drive all the way down there.
No, you can see it from the way that topography is, you'll see it before you cross the bridge.
but the only other thing is people may look at that going, hey, this looks like something to go check it out.
Well, that's what we're trying to
Yeah.
avoid with closing
Yeah.
it this way.
Right, but
Yeah.
I'm saying is, no matter what we put in, like you said, you put up a sign that said road closed, the only way that that's enforced is if we have a law enforcement out there that says, hey, you're not supposed to be here. So that puts difficulty on that. I mean, I agree with you, whatever we could do to get people, but again, if we put any kind of a permanent crossing across there, then that means you guys can't go through there with whatever vehicles you wanted to do. So that would be the only thing that I could come up with is, however that may.
Yeah, but if they gate it, they got the keys.
Yeah.
Well, and again, that's
If
where it
it's
comes from.
vacated, it becomes
Yes.
private property.
Vacation, can't you?
Yes.
Yeah, that could be a
Condition of-
condition of the vacation that they're
Right.
required to keep.
And then you guys are gonna be able to post on those gates private property, and that's what it will become.
Right.
Is there any way, if we vacated it, is there any way we could retain a right to utility easement?
We have to. Even with vacations by statute, I can't give those up. That's in every one of the ones I do.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just the ability if we had to come in and vary a line or, you know.
And that's stated on this one.
Yeah,
It says all easements of record of any kind or
Yeah.
character shall remain and be preserved.
yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't think there's any utilities now, but in case there would be in the future.
And that's the whole purpose.
Yeah.
You know, you don't wanna have to go back through and come in and notice sub-property owners for eminent domain on something you're putting 3 or 4 feet under the ground.
Yeah.
So we wanna maintain that, so we don't have to do that in the future. The surface rights is what we're giving up.
Yeah.
Well, and also
I
subsurface to
understand.
the extent of what farmers are concerned with in terms of oil and gas and that kind of thing.
Well, just, money wasn't an issue. Push fiber out to every house in this county, but, so I wanna make sure there's a pathway to get it there if
Yeah.
ever, the money was ever available.
If we ever got lucky enough to be approved
Yes,
for one of
Randy.
the grants.
We got a problem all over the county, Chase, closing bridges, doing this, doing that. It's gonna cause people to go around the section. The reason why it was even addressed was because Bryce said the condition of it and stuff. When I drove it last Tuesday, Friday, whatever day it was.
Tuesday.
meeting,
It's still dry.
Yeah, it was dry then. But I hate to hear a commissioner say, we're closing because nobody else has any right out there. And I know what kind of crap goes on, just like anybody else sitting in this room. We don't like the kind of crap that goes on with people tearing your fences down, tearing the property up, think they've got the right to go in and do that. They've got the right to go down the road. And I just don't like us doing things for that reason. Because we got, how many roads can you go out and close today? You got to close 200 of them, just for the same reason. So I'm not really hep on just saying this for that reason. But what it is what it is. We have vacated other properties. There's been, some of them we vacated before, has been the same owner on both sides and taking care of the gates. And don't know who's the landowner on the other side. If there's one or two on the other side, you own one side completely, Chase, on one side, the east side?
Well, the east side of the bridge.
East side of the bridge, but not the whole mile?
Right.
Okay.
They're here too, they're present.
Okay.
At the west side. yeah.
Okay, okay.
I am
Yeah.
concerned about the 220th on the north end because you could go around, okay? Right now, it's farm ground out there.
Oh, you could go around the bridge?
They'll go around the gate, but
Oh,
that'd
go
be.
around the gate, yes, okay.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. I see
Yeah.
what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
on the south side before.
Yeah.
Because there's no place you can go.
Right, I agree.
Yeah, that's, you know, we haven't went out and taken the bridge out, just, you know, for safety reasons yet. But you're looking to use it, but there's, someday, you're gonna be sitting in here when this commission's gonna make a decision on a bridge that you may have to drive around the section because other counties are doing it. And that's,
Well, we could go down a long rabbit hole there, Mr. Doctor.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, because I do, from my understanding, there was money available to fix this bridge under certain grants. Is that to be true?
Cost
And
share,
then-
cost share.
Cost share? But that was either, did we run out of time to get that done, or did we, what was the issue there? Or should we address that? If we do it this way, then maybe we shouldn't have to.
Yeah, what Chase
But-
said, that becomes a, economic feasibility even on a cost share when you're talking about what it costs to put a bridge in now.
But the point being is, if you're gonna close the bridge, it basically negates the use of the road through the mile. If you can't go through the mile, then everything else that we've talked about since what I said is really irrelevant conversation. Because either the road is closed for through access, or the road is closed. One of the
The
two.
road's open, yeah.
Or, yeah, the road's
Right.
open.
Yeah.
So, to avoid any future problems with rift-raft, with landowner issues, which I'm well aware of other bridges that's been closed that you have these issues with, this would be a nice, clean way of avoiding all those things. And you have landowner consensus, and it's saving the county money, and one more mile that I'm sure Mr. Goebel doesn't want to maintain.
Well, I agree with Randy on a lot of this, but I think you've got two issues. You've got a road that you can vacate that has no bridges on it. You vacate a road that's got a bridge on it, it's a whole different animal.
Well, and that's what he's addressing. I mean, the second part was, if you close the road, no, and I stand in what I said, nobody has any business being out there but the landowners. If the bridge doesn't exist, there's no business for anybody to be out there, because they can't get through.
But it will exist, and just so we're free of it. I mean, that's the main thing, that I don't want somebody falling through with a truck, train, or whatever it may be, and then come back and sue the county. That's a necessity.
And it's a unique problem that we deal with in this county because we have so many bridges.
Oh,
Right.
You know, I talk to people out west that's got 2 bridges in the whole county.
Over White
They don't
Creek.
it doesn't register to them what we have to go through to close, vacate a road. So,
Yeah.
but I think what they're proposing makes a lot of sense.
I'd be in favor of that.
And then, we're not, in terms of notices, sometimes we'll get into those situations where time is of the essence for you or for them or for both.
Okay.
And they've got this one written out, which is the standard old form language. Hand delivery, certified or registered mail at the addresses. They aren't
Okay.
gonna allow us email. It would be nice if they would go ahead and add that to it. Most of them will allow that to occur.
Okay. Yeah.
That's just more pragmatism than
Sure.
anything else. And then the other one, I guess, I didn't take it to call them on this one, but this is unusual to me. Owner further agrees that the equity in the property is security for payment of the contract price. This is public property. We don't have the ability to let them have a lien against that
Yeah.
unless they go to a judge and get it. So I would probably want to,
They'd have to bond.
yeah, I would want to, unless we go through all that process, I'd want to strike that element of it.
Well, they are required to bond, they are required to,
Yeah, it's
Right.
pretty
have a
well
construction bond.
goes
On
without
performance.
saying, on any job I do, I mean, if it's a government entity or a school, I have to bond it, I can't file a lien.
Mhm.
Yeah. But, yeah, I mean.
And they're
that's-
specified without, they don't even note that, they just say that they have the right to do that on equity in the property. Well, yeah, we own it, so there's that equity in it, but I don't want them to lien public
Yeah.
property. But that's it, those are the only changes I have.
Yes.
Thank you, Brad, for bringing up scope of measurement out in the field, because we went through lawsuit for scope of measurement on the rock pile up here.
Yeah, that's what I was
So
discussing.
let's do something better than what we did up there.
Yeah.
It's not a handshake, or we need something on paper somehow.
Well, I mean, and we can do that, like I said, it was just estimated to, again, start, stop, everything else, we can actually measure that, not a problem.
Mhm. This
And
one's a
this is
little
much-
different.
Much
than-
more cut and dry.
Yeah, it's not, what I'm understanding, where I was concerned was if we had a pile of something somewhere, in these kinds of instances, you've got lineal footage.
Yes.
And width, so
Yeah.
I think that's probably solvable.
Yep.
Those other two, I guess I'd like to make sure we can add notice by electronic format, and then get rid of that
Strike.
Yeah.
language in 18, just get that
So
struck.
do you wanna follow up with Tina on that then?
Yep.
Or whatever?
Yep.
Okay.
I just want to make sure before I did all of that,
Sure,
that you and I
sure. Yep.
talked, and if that had come up somewhere else, I didn't want to be jumping in the middle of it.
Like I said, as far as the rest material, we've got plenty of time to look and
Basically
consider.
talking about $150,000,
Something in that neighborhood.
Talking about the brown chat?
No, this is actually, it's more of a whitish gray.
This is for the resealing, not the.
This is for the
Microsurface.
Microsurface, what he's wanting.
It's not like the chip seal material.
Yeah.
But it's about the same size?
It's smaller.
Small.
I did check with him too. One of the questions was, can this material be used for chip sealing? The guy I talked to, and he's worked with them a long time, actually has his own company as well, said it can be done, but it's actually too fine. So if you want to use it, you'd have to go back and screen it. He said, second of all, he would not recommend it because he said you wear out your snow plows before you'll get anything done. He said it literally is hard enough to throw sparks off of carbide tips. He says you can follow a snowplow down the road and you can see the sparks coming off of it. So he said he would not recommend it for that reason.
How's that mine then? How's it get to that small?
Well, it's crushed and everything else, but it's just the friction of,
Yeah.
you know, if you're crushing something, that's one thing, but when you're dragging something across it, so. But anyway, so probably shouldn't be doing that.
How much more of the chip seal material we're gonna have to get?
Well, depending on, you know, what you decide there, but the chip sealing material, I need to get with Steve and find out exactly how much we have left, give him an approximate, so we can maybe
So
use what we have.
You got a stockpile out there on Kansas.
Mm-hmm. We've got a little bit
I
of.
don't know how many tons it'd be.
Well, see, that's what we gotta figure out, is how much we're gonna do, and then go from there, so.
if you look at while it was wet, the microsurface area, all the original cracks down below are starting to come up.
Yeah,
So it's gonna have to be chip sealed eventually. And then maybe another microsurface chip seal
Yeah.
goes down in those cracks.
again, it comes down to, you know, pavement maintenance all the time, so unfortunately, we're just trying to deal with
The
things.
miles.
Kent's asking, what's probably, the way I took your question was, what's most important first, right? Whether we get the material in for the chip seal or whether we get the material in for the microsurface.
Well, we're gonna have to have two bundles of it. One for one project, more, I suppose more for the other, depending on how many miles you're gonna
Yeah.
chip seal.
Like I said, I just briefly talked to Steve about what we need to blade patch, and again, we won't really know till we get to that point as well, not knowing what the rest of the winter's gonna be like, so.
How many more total miles of microsurface will we do to before we have to, then everything would be ready for a chip seal before we'd ever think about microsurface again?
Well, you look at the fact is, we have 180 miles of paved roads. You take out Indigo, you take out 290th, everything else, other than 330th.
Plus the 40 miles that we're already committing to.
Right, so we'll still be, what, half of them to go. Now, we've got some serious issues going on 330th, west of K-15 up there. Don't know for sure what's going on, but we've lost the outside of the road in places. I actually had Terracon, it was the consultants or the company that did all the engineering. They're coming out Thursday, so we're gonna look at it. So, don't know what's causing it, but we gotta try to figure it out. So,
Water.
well, you know, I mean, there's, yeah, whatever. But
It
anyway,
always comes down to water.
yeah. So we're gonna try to figure that out, and like I said, we may have to push that little faster into the whatever it is. So, but anyway, but they were happy to come out and look at it and see if they could give us some insight as well.
So in a normal year, we've been doing what, 20-some miles of chip seal?
20 to 40, depending on.
So if we commit to 40 miles of microsurf, that's all gonna need to be chip sealed at the same time.
Not sometime, you can let it go for a season or two.
Well, what he's saying is, if we do it this year, you would what he's saying, it would probably get to the same point of being chip sealed at the same time, like 3-4 years down the road, whatever it is. That's what you're saying.
I mean, I just wouldn't wanna be faced with all, we're only do 20 miles of chip seal, now next year we gotta do 40.
Yeah, that's not much of an issue, because we actually get through chip sealing fairly fast, other than just the extra material.
Yeah, but it keeps guys off of their routes so long.
Well, we talked about that. I wish there was an answer to, you know, so. Now, again, I could go out and contract it, once we establish that as well, so.
Contracting is slightly cheaper than microservice, isn't it?
For chip seal.
Yeah.
I guess we cross that bridge when we get to
Well,
it, but it's good to look down the road.
Sure, I totally understand. I mean, I wish we were in a spot to where, you know, we were sitting in the indigo range where we wouldn't have to look at things for quite a while, but, you know, you look at 330th, west of K-15, I mean, that project's, just 6 years old now. We definitely wanted more out of it than that, but that's what we have, so.
Do we have an abundance of spots? I haven't really.
Yeah, there's one spot that's several hundred feet long. This is a spot they actually fixed under warranty before they left. It's at the top of the hill, so you wouldn't think there'd be water problems, but.
There is out there.
We just, you know, it's typically when you have a water problem, it will be halfway down the hill where you go from a cut to a fill. That's where you would have the water at. But this one here, don't know. Spring, nobody knows. And again, once we've got her, maybe do some
Country's
investigation.
full of spring.
Have to bore the road.
Yeah.
Bore underneath the road and perforate the pipe.
Well, and you know, that's what we may have to put in some sort of drain. We don't know, like I said. But the sad part about it is, you know, end of January is not the time to be trying to fix this stuff, but you need to make it safe for the traffic
There's
public.
water under there and it's freezing, it's gonna bulge harder.
Yeah, yeah.
Isn't this the same road that we cut the hill down? Same spot?
I don't think they cut the hill down much
On
here.
that?
No,
Top of that, okay.
I don't think so. Because it's pretty much flat through there, or not much for ditch. Which, that was the other thing is, if we can, we'll go in there and try to cut a deeper ditch, but typically you wouldn't need a deep ditch on top of the hill. But if that's a place to provide the drainage, then that's what we'll do, so. But anyway, so, that's all I have, and unless you guys have anything else, or.
Yeah. Bryce and I went out to 80th and Goldenrod the day after the commission meeting.
Last week, yeah.
Was it last week or the week before?
Yes, 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, I think. I put a note in there that Bryce, in his mailbox, and I received a letter this weekend. And I forgot to bring it. But the gentleman is not happy. Have we dumped, and I have a bus driver who's calling me from that area who wants to discuss some too. I don't know exactly what price.
Okay.
But have we dumped any soft rock down in there yet?
No.
Okay, well, his impression is we're gonna dump soft rock. Now, I will tell you, what Bryson saw is crushed concrete and hard rock and everything. He's got a heck of a base on what he has done. And I think Bryce said that we would probably, that's what you wanted to come up, that hump on the north side of that road from the intersection. It's low on the south side, and we thought of going in and cutting the ditch, bringing it up, and putting in crushed concrete from Lincolnville, right? So, so I wanted to, but he's not happy with the Marion County Commission, so just so everybody knows. So I said, you know, like you said, Bryce, it's not the right time. I don't know about hauling the concrete, the crushed concrete and getting it down there and doing something with it. I don't know about that.
Well, unfortunately, the road's froze right now,
Yeah,
so it'd be
yeah.
kind of difficult to work on. But we did talk about trying to fix a little drainage. Coming from the south and going east, we are in the process. Larry's out there putting up signs, or it's called in signs. Just noticed this, we did not have any signs that said flood area ahead. So we are putting them up. We're gonna try to clean out the ditches. We found out that one of the pipes has actually been crushed down on top, so we need to take a jack and jack it back open. So obviously that would affect some drainage. So anyway, I did talk with Fred as well. He says when that does flood, he says it goes several hundred feet east down that road. So
East down his road.
yes. So the only thing that, again, if we ever got to that point of how much rain that would take, I don't know. But he said he's constantly losing rock. So one of the things to look at is, okay, do we go in there and extend that concrete low water crossing all the way through there? You know, just throwing that out there, that we drop a lot more initial cost, but maybe we would save some rock down the road as well. I followed up with Sharon as well. She basically said everything comes right to that corner and goes off to the northeast. So
It's not a pretty sight when there's probably water coming. And
Yeah.
I visited, there is a lady that lives on the southeast corner, or southwest corner of that intersection.
Okay.
She lives there.
right up on top of the hill. Yeah.
No, the pond is out there, and she lives in the middle of the pond. The road comes in around the barn and comes right into the middle of the pond. Right?
Okay.
I went and visited with her, and she didn't, because she goes south from this. She's actually south of the intersection on the west side of the road, and she goes south. So she said, this year, my road has been great. But she was referring to 2 years ago, or 3, when the real rain and mud got to us, and it wasn't pretty then, so. But she said, it's been pretty good going out that way, so really, we're concentrating on him, trying to get him out. So, I just, you know, I don't know, I can leave him another note, but he was mad because we went out there the next week and doing it. That was one of the biggest complaints, but I don't, you know, so anyway, I just catch it. Give us
What
an
about
update.
the appliances?
They're gone. He took
Gone,
all
signs,
his stuff,
yeah.
everything down, did everything we asked. It's just a matter of us, but like I said, right now, we're in the wrong time of year to get it rebuilt to real good form right now, so anyway, that's the latest update from 80th and Goldenrod.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, thanks.
Okay, is Isaac up next? Is Isaac out there?
Sure.
Sharon, oh, I'm sorry.
Sure.
Sharon, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yep.
we're ready for you, Joe.
Afternoon.
You guys have to sign in. Please sign in. Should be done with the new activity. Before you sit down, get to sign in.
Yes, sir.
I guess we'll review. Did everyone receive their invitation to the planning commission dinner?
Getting ready to. You want one?
I faxed it.
planning and zoning. Yes, Lauren?
Thank you. Okay, so today, I'm bringing case PC 2208 to your board. This is a conditional use request filed by Quinton Heights on behalf of the Realist Estate LLC. Their request was for, sorry, let me flip through here. Their request is to operate a custom shipping container modification business on property in the southeast corner of Section 4, Township 20, Range 2, generally located at 1803 Indigo, which is about a quarter-mile south of the city limits of Hillsborough. You all received your packets via email and had a chance to go through those. Their initial request was phased, the first portion being like a manufacturing or light industrial shipping container modification site, and the second phase being more of a residential, like an Airbnb type community, I guess you would call it. And then the Planning Commission held their hearing on January 5th. And they made a recommendation to approve part of their request and deny part of their request. And it may just be easier for me to read what their exact recommendation was. And then I also have, the applicant sent an email today, which you should have received just a little while ago in your email, an updated plan that was based on the Planning Commission's recommendation. If you don't have that, I have the main changes printed off. Materially, nothing changed except for they reduced the portion that the Planning Commission is recommending denial for, if that makes sense. Also, the applicants, Quinton Heights, Zach Haskins, and Kylie Oliphant are here today if you have any additional questions. Okay, so I'll read the recommendation that the Planning Commission is making to your board. They have recommended that the following described property is hereby granted a conditional use permit to establish a modified shipping container for residential and or short-term rental use, subject to the conditions and restrictions listed herein. I'm gonna back up a couple of whereases on that resolution. The portion pertaining to industrial manufacturing other than the construction of permanent units to be used on site is recommended for denial. The portion pertaining to modified shipping containers for residential and or short-term rental use on certain property within the unincorporated portion of Marion County is recommended for approval, subject to certain conditions. Those conditions being the establishment of up to 3 single-family units with a maximum of 3 containers per unit that may be used for short-term rental purposes, and 1 additional container for accessory use. And the CUP shall be reviewed every 5 years for compliance, and the site development must comply with all state, federal, and local regulations. And the manufacturing shall be limited to the construction of permanent units to be used on site. And a restrictive covenant shall be filed stating that the parcel and housing units shall remain in single ownership. Do you have any questions?
So this is a manufacturing plus residential housing.
Initially, the request was to be able to manufacture.
That's what I'd understood.
On the premises and have like a showroom and an office. In the original application that is in your email, it shows the business objectives, the proposed phase 1, and then phase 2 being more the residential portion of their plan. The planning commission, in essence, would like to see the manufacturing or the like light industrial portion take place elsewhere. They are not in favor of having the manufacturing on site on a continuous basis. So they have a recommended approval of manufacturing the units that would stay on site for permanent use as Airbnb or long-term rentals. And they have suggested that the manufacturing portion of the business that they're hoping to establish take place in more of an industrial area.
This location on the northwest corner of the intersection?
Yes.
Is the right location?
Yes.
What's the size of that property?
It's approximately 4 acres.
1.7.
1.7.
4.7? How much of it's in the creek?
About half.
About half of it. So the whole 4.7 is not usable.
The total acreage is not.
So it's just basically 2 acres usable.
Yeah. Is it all?
1.7. So it's just under 2 acres total. So about 1 acre would be usable space.
It's all in the floodplain.
Yes. And the applicants understand that they would have to comply with all floodplain regulations.
So Airbnb would have insured flood insurance.
If they can receive a LOMA, a letter of map amendment, or also, the state they're working on a remapping project, and a portion of that parcel will be coming out of the floodplain based on elevation. So their intention is to either receive the proper permitting through the state, federal, and county for floodplain development permits, or receive a LOMA showing that elevation is higher than the base flood, or those design standards that are required for floodplain development.
What about footing requirements?
Piers, all of your utilities have to be elevated, like your HVAC systems, all electrical systems have to be elevated. Their wastewater
Containers anchored.
system would have to be engineered.
The containers anchored to the solid foundation?
To the foundation, yes.
And as a side note, I went to a planning zoning meeting, and all 10 members pretty much revealed these guys all this information for a couple of hours. They had lots of good questions, and they came back with lots of good answers. So I feel they've been thoroughly vetted, they've asked all kinds of questions.
Thank you.
You guys did a great job.
Thank you.
Always having an answer.
I'm trying to wrap my mind around this. It's really not gonna be a light manufacturing. It's changed from light manufacturing to Airbnb.
The manufacturing would just be a manufacturing of the single families there on site, just similar to a on-site built home.
Right.
So once they're there for permanent.
Yes, sir.
The initial request was to build these units on site
Right.
and then sell them for off-site use, but continue that practice, manufacturer, sell, manufacturer, sell. So based on the recommendation of the planning commission and their updated proposal is to only manufacture the units that will stay on site, which will be a total of 3 single-family residential style and 1 accessory container.
Do you have any, I know you got pictures and stuff, but do you have any architectural elevation layouts?
Like a topo map.
Well, no. So when you go to build something, I mean, you got your architectural plans, your floor plan and all that. You've got the floor plan, but you don't, or a typical floor plan, but you don't have any elevations. So what the site will look like from the road.
We've been working with an engineering firm, but we have not gotten any drawings finalized yet. We wanted to get through this process and at least get a little more of a green light before we made that initial investment.
So is your manufacturing contingent upon this project?
No, sir. We are going to go ahead with manufacturing once we secure another location for that. We've been looking
In
at some-
Marion County?
We hope to.
Just trying to ask. Styles is in the room. What's the city have to say?
We filed a letter for denial, recommending denial along with the planning commission. We don't think that's a good use of that space for the light industrial piece. We didn't really have much conversation about the Airbnb. We sort of figured that was contingent on them having that piece, not separate. So what our recommendation is for denial based on the industrial piece of that puzzle. So I don't know that we have a huge objection to the Airbnb piece. The homeowners around there may, but we, as the city, we don't necessarily.
I just, you wouldn't put in a hog farm next door to the town, so you get your input from the town too, on either thing, so, and I'm not saying this is a hog farm, I'm saying, you want to get along.
Yes, sir.
You got 3 places here? Is that what their design is and what you're looking at? 3
places.
That would
Auxiliary
be
the 4th
3,
one?
that would be 3 single-family units and then 1 accessory building structure.
So, on 4 acres, how will you do that? I mean, that's against, nobody else out here in the county can do that.
So you mean as far as multiple single-family residences
Yeah.
on 1 parcel?
Right.
That's what the
County, we're
conditional
only allowed
use,
one container per.
Yeah.
that's what the conditional use permit is for, is to allow them to exceed
More than 1.
more than 1, correct.
So, if that's passed, then anybody in our county can come and apply for a conditional use permit to allow 2 more places on there at 5 acres.
Absolutely. It's always been that way.
Does it, if they're just going to be building these Airbnbs and we've taken the light manufacturing out of it, does that require a CUP?
The Airbnb
Yeah.
portion,
Yeah.
yes, which is part of this request.
But the light manufacturing is still part and parcel of the CUP.
Only the manufacturing portion as it pertains to
The
these
construction.
structures.
Yeah.
Chairman, I have a typically, that's because it's a non-traditional structure, right, and with your new
That's correct.
technique passed.
Yes.
So if they were made from stick, it would have been a different kind of stick and brick instead of something that started as a railroad car or a shipping container or a grain bin or something like that.
Yes, that's correct. So the use of a shipping container as a residential structure is something that requires a CUP. More than one permanent residence on a parcel requires a CUP. An air bed and or like a short-term rental
Yeah.
also requires a CUP. Those can all be handled within one application.
Right.
And you can approve or deny all, none, some. They presented that application with all of those things in it.
But these three places
Mhm.
would be there for now to eternity. You couldn't, if they didn't build no more, they built their three, and people who lived in them, they could live there for eternity,
Theoretically, yes.
provided they don't
Yeah, if,
abide or disobey the conditional use permit, correct?
that's right, as long as they still uphold all the conditions and the requirements in the CUP. And there's not a lapse. I mean, it also goes on the county regulations too. So if there's a long time lapse where, say it changes hands, if their company sells the entire property to another entity, and then that entity does not use those as residential units for a period of, I think it's
6 months typically.
then the CUP becomes invalid. But as long as, this is a conditional use that goes with the land, so as long as the CUP is valid, the use remains, no matter who owns it or who's residing there.
It's news to me that somebody could come in and get a conditional use permit. I mean, we have allowed for farmers to have the working hand there at the main residence on 5 acres.
We've had some in the recent past for, some type of hardship, like
Yeah.
children taking care of their parents,
Mhm.
or a family member that wanted to be on the same parcel.
Okay.
So by building these Airbnbs, will you be, as you build them, are you going to be marketing them? I mean, people drive by and they see that and they stop.
We were hoping, do you want to take that or you want to take that? Right. We were hoping to do that, which is why in our phase one, we had to put a showroom / office there, but the planning commission actually struck that down. They wanted us to have nothing there that would be open to the public is the best that we understood. So in essence, we were hoping that this would be a little bit of our showcase, but I think that that's not gonna be the case. Where we would have people come in and tour them. Now, if they wanted to rent them or something, you know, short-term rental, then they could do that. But I think as of the way that they explained it to us, that we're not allowed to have that as an office or a showcase.
I'm just wondering, you know, is there a condition in there, say they're out there building these things and somebody drives up and said, I'd like to buy that thing from you before it's on a permanent foundation. Can I do that?
See, and we had talked about that amongst ourselves, and we said, you know, that's not the deal that we struck, so we're not, you know, would we want to? Yes, but would we? No.
So you have to build 3 of them before you can sell one.
Unless we built it somewhere else,
Outside.
yeah. Anything that brought there would need to be, to stay there, is the way that we understood
And
from
the
the
4th
plan.
one would be built off-site someplace.
I think that their hope is still to continue with their original plan, just modify their plan, that their industry portion of it is elsewhere. So they would still like to continue to build these on a permanent, regular basis, just not at that site.
That being said, I'm gonna kind of step a little out of the box. Sumner County and Cowley County, we have a meeting with them tomorrow. They're looking for a creative housing solution, and they've already gotten their permits and things established. A commercial developer has come to us, and we're a presentation with them tomorrow to build a full neighborhood down there for them. So this is our dream. We've been working towards it, and we're gonna continue. But none of us are Marion County born and raised, but we all call this home now, and we wanna keep calling this home. But we're just hoping to grow this in something else. So I think we're not gonna give up. We're just hoping for some yeses.
Sharon, did you address all of the driveways and things like that for 3 of these places? I mean, is that gonna be extra burden to the county or anyway?
There's one 60-foot ingress egress point, and I think it's shown in that black area right there on your, see that rectangle?
Oh, yeah, it's road entrance right here.
Yep,
That's
there's,
gonna take care of the whole thing.
there's a nice wide 60-foot ingress point there. I mean, it's established already, and it comes right off of Indigo.
Right. Okay.
Is there enough room for the slide off to fit this?
There'll be.
Trucks have to pull in, back in, stop in to go.
They will not be using tractor trailers. They have a 1-ton that'll be pulling a gooseneck, and then they'll use a fork truck to offload the containers.
Yeah, that was a
Seems a little
big
tight.
point at the zoning meeting, this semis backing in and wouldn't move the maneuver.
Another question, I don't know if anybody has the answer for it. We hear a lot about phase 2, Willow Glen phase 2. Is that in the floodplain, Matt?
No, sir, it's not in the floodplain.
That was 4 foot deep out there.
Yeah, it's further west and north of there, so yeah.
Oh, it's further west?
It's a little bit further west and north, yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if that footprint went right up there to that
No,
property.
not right up to this, no. It's about, this is a couple 100 feet, I think, from the edge of the Willow Glen Homeowners Association's pond.
You can kind of see the boundaries in, do you have this page on your, it would be in your email,
Yeah.
under the notifications. So you can see Willow Glen's pond, and then their platted areas. That black line would be floodplain.
The black line?
Yeah.
So the area that Willow Glen 2 would be what you said, north and west of the flood.
Of the floodplain.
North and west of that black line around the outside of that orange triangle, Ken. I knew it was 4 foot down through up to the road there. 5, it was a while there, 5, 6 years ago or so. Is that off the new floodplain, the old?
It's the current effective one.
How long is that?
Did you see it?
We just received the
New maps.
preliminary draft maps last week, actually, so they haven't been implemented just yet.
Okay.
So, any other comments, questions?
What's your employment projection look like? Will you be hiring anyone?
We have a small team as of now, but since we wouldn't be doing the light manufacturing on this site, that would be dependent upon where our manufacturing is. But for this this site specifically, it would be a small team.
You are the group that has put some containers in Hillsborough Trailer Park?
No, sir.
No, you're not. Okay.
Randy there.
Okay.
You know, and that was another thing that, you know, that people were talking about the site concerns. And actually where they put those there, I mean, it's a lot tighter quarters than what we're working on out there at the corner, so, I mean, you know, they still had to get them in there and get them offloaded in a much
Yeah.
smaller space.
Right. And those are just 20 footers, right?
No, sir, those are 40s.
Are they?
Yes, sir.
Over the trailer park?
Yeah.
It looks small.
This is a question for Matt back there. Matt, in that, I just watched that develop in the trailer park over there, and I don't know what's developed since then,
Mhm.
and there, has those people met, and it has nothing to do with these people, but have all your regulations for them been met, and they followed them, stuff like that?
For the proposed new development? or for the
No,
ones
just for the
that-
ones that's in that trailer park.
Yeah, those have all met all,
Okay.
they have gone through a building inspection process.
Good.
They met
Good.
everything. Yeah.
Okay.
They met it for a trailer park.
Correct, yeah, there's a conditional use.
They didn't meet it to be outside that trailer park.
Right.
Yeah. But it was allowed.
We have a process for that now, for if you want to use an alternative shipping container or any barn dominium, you name it, we've got a process for that anywhere else in town, so.
You got any other information, Sharon? Or more pages to read to us?
I believe you were provided a copy of the public comment that was received during the time from the planning commission till now.
Got 2 letters.
2 in the packet, and then you have
Yes.
one more today on the table.
In our information that we received the other day, it said that this passed 10-0.
The recommendation that I read from, that's also on a copy of the resolution, was passed 10-0.
No more discussion, I guess I'd make a motion to approve case PC 22-08 by the Planning and Zoning Committee. Be resolution number 2023-04, granting a conditional use permit to operate a custom shipping container modification business on certain property located at 1803 Indigo in Hillsborough, Kansas.
A business, well, I guess it is.
Was there a second?
No,
I'll second it.
did Dave Mueller second it?
Voice from behind.
Yes, yes.
Hi Dave, how are you?
Yeah, he's been doing that all day.
I forgot to. Sorry.
All laugh when I say you scared the crowd.
Any other discussions?
This is David from behind you again. I just want to commend the applicant, staff, and the planning commission for their thorough investigation and coming up with a solution that addressed a number of the concerns. Just want to, again, express my gratitude to all involved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Randy?
I just would like to say that if this passes, I would hope that any, not just these people, when they are doing something, realizes that there's a lot of criticism probably waiting to happen.
Yes, sir.
And if it happens, why, I hope they don't have a reason to criticize you.
Yes, sir.
So if that would be, there hasn't been nothing proven to me to vote against this today. the only thing that I was concerned about was that if any of our other local residents in our county could go on 5 acres and put 2 or 3 homes on that. And that, because that's, to me, opened the door here, other than what I knew of was the farming issue to where it's second hand, or we have, like you said, for elderly, allowed their children to do something on the place. So like I said, I just hope that if this passes, that you strongly keep it an efficient operation and neat looking operation. We don't have to come talk again.
Yes, sir.
And also, if that's a concern of the commission, you can always request that the planning commission look at text amendments to not allow second residences on a parcel, if that's important to the board.
Not in this, what I just said. I would just said that keep something clean and operation clean, because this is something new to the Marion County.
Right.
And hope they're the most.
I'd like the application, you know, if, since we're not talking about light manufacturing anymore, it would just been a CUP for the construction of 2-3 Airbnbs. I think the public, including myself, to get to this point, had some misconceptions of what this really is entailing. Well, I mean, I'd personally like to see it go back to the planning commission, see if that can be cleaned up anyway.
I feel that they cleaned it up, I mean,
Yeah, but it was still included in that, it was light manufacturing.
The only thing that you would be approving if you are basing your motion on the planning commission's recommendation are only the things outlined in that resolution, regardless of what the application said.
only what's used is built on site.
Well, that was my question, you know, somebody's gonna drive by and they're building on these and say, can I buy that? And they say, oh, of course, we'll just start another one. I mean, is that actually addressed that way, that there can be no resale of these that are in process?
Well, if they start building one and it's on site, and then all of a sudden it's gone, that could be reported to the planning and zoning department, and then we could investigate it, and then potentially go through the process to revoke the CUP.
Now, these 3 here will not have property lines.
No, it's one parcel.
One parcel.
Yeah. With the conditions that were made, it has to remain under single ownership.
Call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Do a roll call vote, I guess. Dave Mueller voted aye. I'll vote aye. John?
At this point, nay.
Kent?
Nay.
Randy?
I'm gonna have to vote aye because I have not been given anything to disobey our rules.
Okay.
So,
Okay, so pass 3-2. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you.
For a non-traditional build, I would like to see architecturals for a non-traditional build.
Okay.
And somehow in the planning.
So, Mr. Gary, if I could get clarification, do you mean engineered plans, construction plans? Or can that be?
Architectural, because really what's going to upset the apple cart is the outside appearance of a non-traditional building. You know, these pictures that they have, you know, they said they were building that. Yeah. Get to it, but don't know what you're actually going to build. And that's a problem.
our waiver. Okay, I guess signed and legal. Start building tomorrow.
You intended to put name?
Yes.
All right.
On something else?
No, I got the going too quick.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. If
Thank you very much.
You're welcome to stay, or you may go if you want. Mr. Stiles, you may want to stay for just a
Okay.
few more minutes.
Wow. So I do have a question. So now when we go to the architects and engineers, then we will get some drawings and then we come to you to get another stamp yet to proceed, or how does that?
Yes.
What's our next, well, what do we need to do next to make sure everyone's happy?
Okay, so you would still need a permit for the structures
Okay.
themselves. So you would need those engineered designs, they would have to meet floodplain standards, your engineered wastewater systems, the architectural design.
I mean, if that's it, if they beat the curve,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to make any rules for them. I'm trying to make anything that comes up in the future that we have.
Sure.
I'm not trying to.
Okay, I can require that as part of the permitting process. So, yeah, let's start there and then keep that communication open.
Should we wait a little bit yet on those floodplain maps to be published? I mean, is there a timeline on that? And I know we tried to put like 36 months out from now. I mean, what's your recommendation? We're here to make everybody happy and do this the right way. You know, I mean, this is a first, so to speak, so.
Okay. It could be in your best interest because it looks like part of that property will come out of the floodplain. But as far as a timeline, I'll have to get back with you on that.
Not a problem. Thank you, everyone, for your time. We appreciate it. Y'all have a blessed day.
Take care.
Thank you.
Okay, so, the next, thank you for staying.
Yeah, no problem.
This item may pertain more to you, but, there was also a memo in your packet that refers to, the notification for cities. Currently, if a city has officially established extraterritorial jurisdiction, we would provide that application to them 30 days in advance of any public hearing that the planning commission would hold. And then the city's council would have the ability to make a recommendation directly to your board or through our planning commission to your board. And then if you were to vote in a manner that wasn't the way the city had recommended, then it would require a supermajority vote. We've kind of been through those discussions about how that's established and that it's a mutual agreement between the county and the city, and that ETJ comes with certain responsibilities and requirements that sometimes aren't feasible for cities, nor desired for some cities. So the notification language will be discussed at our meeting on Thursday. It may give some better options for cities to have some input and to mutually come to an agreement with the county that gives them a little more weight in the outcome of these types of applications. But it dismisses some of those requirements, like for them to have to provide wastewater systems and water and those things to those areas outside of the city limits.
Would you set your area of influence based on city population? I mean, so the bigger the city, the more area of influence it would have. The smaller the city.
It's really just a mutual agreement that, and this has not been public noticed, there's only going to be discussion at the meeting on Thursday, but it will be publicly noticed and then it'll come to a public hearing. We would like to have that back and forth conversation with the cities, and I'll probably send some type of memo out to the cities. Hillsboro's been provided a copy of this memo to kind of take a look at and mull it over. Some cities may completely opt out and say, we don't want anything to do with any of that. You do what you do, and we'll do what we do. And there could be a combination of anything in between.
I think any incorporated town in the county should be treated the same.
Yeah,
They should at least be given the opportunity.
and this goes back to the, the wind farm, where certain cities were given area of influence to stay out, I think that should have been held to weight here too.
Yeah.
Sounds good. I think it's,
And we obviously want to cooperate with the cities. We'd like to stay on friendly terms with all the cities that have their input.
Fine.
And I'm not even saying that because Matt's in
No.
But it was very nice.
It was nice.
Yeah.
I mean, that's always our goal.
You brought up hog farms. I'm gonna bring up, is there something on your Thursday night's agenda that has to do with city burns and a feedlot around the city burns?
No, sir.
I've been contacted by some citizens. Somebody's wanting a 4,000 head feedlot within a mile of city burns.
Yeah,
That's
that should-
KDHE.
Yep.
And feedlot. So,
On 20th?
Yeah. I think we've maybe all been contacted about that.
Do we-
But that has
do
to
we
be
have
out of
any-
KDHE.
Do we have any superseding power on that?
If it's a processing
Yeah.
facility,
Well, I'm not
yes.
saying to allow it closer, I'm saying,
If-
trying
Well,
to
to allow
protect
it all, to
the health
regulate
and
it.
wellness of your citizens.
We do, depending on what it is. I haven't seen the proposal. But yes, second question about whether the city has, and other than, your typical, I live there, type of approach that any citizen would have, not unless they've established that extraterritorial jurisdiction, which has been revised several times in the last decade, and requires specific types of actions be taken. Like in Hillsboro's case, they do have everything set up properly in their code. The issue that we had, that we made inquiry about, is whether that had been noticed up to the county. And I can't find it. It doesn't mean it didn't happen, but I left that in city attorney's hands as to if you're located great, then, super, but if not, then it's not something that we can consider until it is done.
What is the process then? Because, I've heard about it, I've been in government now for 25, 30 years. And I've heard about this area of influence. I thought it was naturally, when it first came out, I thought all cities had it.
You did.
I thought it was given to them by the ratification of the state.
Right.
That the counties got their power through the legislature, so it's,
So
so if the state doesn't dissolve, the cities
Parts
always
of
have their power.
An element of home rule. They were allowed outside their jurisdictional limits to at least have certain types of extraordinary rights to be heard.
Okay.
Very similar to what we were describing here. Then the legislature, in their wisdom, decided that we didn't need to do that anymore collectively. But then it came back again with a lot of cities in the league and everyone coming in and advocating for, we've got to have something, for these very reasons. We want to know what's right up against us, or within line of sight or air.
Line of air.
And so they came back and said, okay, statutorily, we will allow a city to establish that with the county's knowledge and to some extent approval, put it in place, which I support, quite frankly. I do enough cities that having that 3 mile or whatever, because at one point it was 2. But then they can actually define that to some degree as well. And I do think it's a good idea.
Well, it's
in the city of Peabody right now, a southwest wind.
Yep.
And you've got just such beautiful fragrance that it's just beautiful.
Newton still has the same.
And Newton still has the same thing.
Yes. From the southwest,
There's,
depending on the time of year and how the wind's blowing.
Right.
there's also
Temperature.
a protest
Yep.
period that the feedlots have to go through with KDHE.
Yeah.
But a lot of
Yes.
people don't know that that's available.
It's not nearly as direct as having the municipality
Right.
being able to say,
And I think
excuse me,
Right.
The
we have an
one
issue here.
One contact that contacted me wanted to know about if a landowner beside this site says no, I mean, how effective is one vote no against the person who's blocked the ground?
They don't have complete veto power anymore unless something has been altered in a particular county. We can be more strident, not less. So there are some ways that planning and zoning at the county level can allow for citizens to serve as a blockade to that sort of thing. But
Somebody give them something new,
I'd heard about that.
because those are ones being renewed.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
Yeah, that has been there a while. This
Yeah.
is
Yeah,
brand
that's
new
been
as far
there.
as I know. I mean, I just heard about it.
Yeah.
So.
And area of influence too, I mean, it serves in our interest just because to have anything incorporated, you kind of want that to kind of stick together.
Yeah.
You don't want pop-up cities happening all over the county and then we have all our ag ground destroyed, so.
There's some logical reasoning behind it because, you know, in incorporated city, we deal with, you know, extension of utilities, for example. That's probably one of the biggest things with this. I mean, you probably wouldn't want to establish an ETJ that would be outside of your ability to serve. And so it'd be a situation where you want to negotiate that. And yeah, you don't want pockets popping up all over the county. Then you have to regulate septic systems and wells and things that are.
Bryce is gonna have to start paving roads.
Right, right. So, you know, there's a logic to it, and with regards to the memo, I think we would be supportive of it. You know, I view it as a give and take kind of process with the county, and just having the clarification would be very helpful. So, you know, whatever process that is, we're happy to participate in it.
And I've dealt with what you're talking about in the city, and I think that surrounding boundary lines, you know, when there's a house built just across the road, Gossel's a prime situation. I mean, the road on the west side of town, you know, there's a number of houses just on the other side, and they can have all the city utilities. I don't know where the sewers is over there, but I know that, you know, some of them could be. So, and Peabody's that way. There's roads there that I could have city utilities on my property just across the road.
Well, the cities already have enough of a challenge in this state, based on how our legislature has been composed the last several decades in terms of annexation, and we can't regulate aesthetics. Neither can we, by the way, in the county. And a lot of times what you'll hear said is, look, if you want to do that, go out in the county. Well, they could go out in the county just a few hundred yards past the city limits if this isn't available, and they have on some of the ones that I represent. And becomes a huge problem in a number of different ways.
And then we have a cleanup city.
Yeah. So.
Okay. Anything else, Sharon?
No, I'm just, you know, thinking about all these comments, and as planning and zoning, you know, our comprehensive plan encourages development in retaining citizens and providing new opportunities for workplaces and things like that. So there's gotta be a balance between, yes, let's give this a shot, and no, we don't wanna take the chance of something going bad.
Right.
No, you just gotta make the bucks.
And how we deal with our zoning. I mean,
And non-traditional builds, kind of like wind farms, you gotta have to go through one and then stumble and be like, oh, can't let that happen.
build the plane as you fly it.
Well, I agree with Joan as far as the architectural things, because on something like this, you know, we get these pictures, that doesn't mean it's gonna look that way.
Got some other examples, and they don't look very
It
good.
might be done and we drive by and go, what did we approve?
Yeah.
And Brad brought up a good point, we can't regulate aesthetics,
Yeah.
but to a certain extent, it could give a more clear picture as to what type of screening you may want to.
You're not regulating the aesthetic, but by hiring an architect, nobody's really gonna wanna stick their name on it without making it the least bit pretty. And then you're not gonna spend that dollar if you're not the least bit serious.
I can see it from both ways, you know. The one that wants to put it in doesn't want to spend any more than they have to. They'll find out whether we can do it or not.
Yeah.
But the ones that are trying to decide need more information.
Oh, you go online all day, every day and you can find an aesthetic looking thing and present it. I mean.
While Sharon's here, Sharon, Also, one question, where do we stand on solar lighting, or solar panels? Where do we stand as of today? Because yesterday on Newsweek, on Sunday, there was a big deal. Wisconsin is losing lots of prime park ground. The guy that owns it says, there's plenty of park ground. But the other side of it said, no, there's not enough prime park ground. So where do we stand on solar right now, panels?
We have regulations for both residential use solar
Okay.
and utility scale solar.
Okay.
So you can get a permit to put solar panels on your house just to run your residence.
Mhm.
That's a residential scale solar.
Less than 25 kW.
Right.
Yes. And then the utility scale, there's a whole set of restrictions that are placed on that. I'd be happy to get a copy of it to you.
Can I just saying though that we could right now, we could have an 80 acres or 160 acres be developed into solar.
Provided they go through the permitting process and the applications, show justification, and it is ultimately reviewable by this board.
Sharon has zoning, guidelines.
Yeah,
Yes.
and they're fairly detailed. I looked at those because we've had several phone calls about that to begin.
You elevate those things and you put them on a grass pasture. It's amazing what they can do.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks it sterilizes the ground. No. It's like a trampoline sitting over a part of your yard.
Yeah, that would have to go through a conditional use permit process. just
I've only
like
seen
this.
a couple, but this one I seen was on some pretty ugly ground, so.
Yeah.
Out west, so.
They also are required, wildlife and parks weighs in. If there's a migratory area or wetlands like we utilize a lot here and have the declarations up, and they're in some way gonna impact naturals, the red or prairie chicken, whatever, then all of that is potentially fair game, so to speak, as to what's gonna be argued.
Okay, thank you, Sharon.
You're welcome.
One more.
I know, we're pushing for time. Thank you, Matt, for saying, I appreciate it. Thanks for being part of that conversation.
You can stay and listen.
Yeah, you're welcome to stay.
Go ways past time. Might as well just
He
keep
probably
on
needs
going.
other pictures to go.
I got a few
Sure.
things to do.
Yeah, yeah.
So we have 2 open positions for the planning board, both in District 3. And then I think we were looking at the bylaws and that position for the at-large. Brad may want to weigh in on this. Was that term established at the development of that position?
Basically, the ability, that we didn't differentiate between that at large and the others, so we're gonna treat them all the same. And Sharon called her this morning to double check the bylaws. And the 3 full terms is just that way. And if someone, basically, for example, if it comes up that you create a position and fill it in kind of like midterm, or someone comes in midterm, they still have the ability to go 3 full. So, and I told Sharon I would, as far as I'm concerned, given the difficulty sometimes in getting good quality people who are willing to serve, and dedicate the time to this sort of thing, because it takes quite a bit, you want to make it encourage as much as you can participation. So I always read those and try to draw them as liberally as we do that, so that they can serve as long as possible.
So you're saying he's got 2 more terms?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cut to the chase.
And
Thank you.
there has been nobody contacting the office.
And then,
No one's
That's the
knocking
short
on
form
the door
answer.
to
I
do
like
this.
mine better.
yeah, sorry. I
Mel
got
has
excited
one
there.
more
You
term
said
left.
it would work, and I was like, good, let's
Mel
leave
has
it.
one more term left.
I know we don't have a lot of people standing there wanting to be on the planning
Our
council.
bylaws say that they have to come from those districts. When it's
There,
Watch that.
I happen to have them with me.
trying to remember.
Say that again?
So does the board need to take
So
action
since-
to reappoint for position 7?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
5-0.
Who seconded, sorry, Ken?
Ken.
Jeez, that was fast.
All the other.
For position 7.
Have they the other one's been reappointed.
Yeah, the other ones have
Yes,
been.
everybody.
Yep.
Tammy.
I did mine last week.
And to answer your
Yes.
question, Jonah, 2 members appointed from each of the 5 county commission districts.
They can't go outside.
Did we have the instance one time where we had an individual that termed out, but
They're allowed.
no one was interested, so we allowed them to serve another year?
Yeah, I think they're allowed to until
1 year.
somebody else is willing to step to the plate.
I think that's standard practice and Robert's Rules of
Yes.
Order, that if no one fills the seat, the member
Remains.
with the expired term remains until it's filled.
Yeah, is,
Absent involuntary servitude, I mean, if they say, I don't wish to any longer, they're technically still there, but they can open the seat by simply saying, I refuse to continue on, because I have literally had people, they couldn't get anybody, that person served for 2 extra years. And I said, I'm done now.
well, I mean, it seems like the longer you're on that type of board,
More
the
utility you
better, the
have.
more effective you are.
That's right.
Learn the ins and outs.
Yeah, and there's a lot to it, let's face it, I mean, it's a learning curve in doing that kind of a position.
Maybe I need to visit Burns more and more.
Yeah, I was on it. I couldn't believe how much stuff there is.
Go
A
see.
lot.
Yeah, it's a constant source of phone calls, because people just don't, you read it again, you read it a 3rd time, and it reads differently each time.
I
Did
tried to help
you
you out.
go to the meeting and ask the
I put it
consultant
on my
what it
Facebook
means?
Yes.
I got called some words.
Can I request a 5-minute executive session for personnel?
Yes. Okay, we'll move to recess into executive session
Personnel performance.
in order to discuss
Personnel performance, she says.
personnel performance with pursuant to KSA 75-4319B with Sharon, the board, Brad and Tina.
Second.
Second, and we'll, from 2:46 to 2:51. You say 5 minutes?
Yes.
Second one of that.
Second by Randy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Isaac's patiently waiting.
Just a sec here.
Conference will now be recorded.
Back in session now, no decisions was made. So, Sharon, is there anything else?
I think that was all I had for today.
Thanks.
Thank you, Harold. Okay. Go on to Park and Lake. What, Isaac's still here?
Yeah, thank you.
Missing all the nice weather out there. We could be working. Over here, yeah.
I've been in here since the new ring. Step right up.
All right, keep changing it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna start off, give you guys a little update on the dam project. So I got a call from Brian Severn, who's the engineer on the job. So the state came back out to the lake last week, Wednesday morning. I don't know exactly what they were looking at, but they were doing some surveying south of the Burpole or the Stilling Basin there on the south side of the dam. So this Thursday, Brian called me last Friday. This Thursday at 9 a.m., they're going to be doing a video conference. Brian, the state water structures engineer, and they brought the Corps on. So we're gonna do that Thursday at 9. Brian told me that after talking with the state, they wanted to invite anybody, county commissioners, if you guys are interested, or if one of you are interested, or a couple of you are, to be in on that video conference. He doesn't know for sure. He thinks since he's speculating since the core is being brought on, they think something is gonna have to be done, but he does not know that yet. So that's gonna be this Thursday at 9 a.m. And they just wanted to invite you guys, see if you wanted to join in on that video conference.
So.
You gonna do it here?
I would say if the full board wants to do it, we should probably just do it as a special commission meeting
yes.
and just do it here.
Right here.
But if you want to appoint one representative, then you could do it wherever.
Where was Brian coming? Was he coming down to be with you?
I don't think so, no.
It's all video.
Yes, yeah, he was gonna be, he's in Kansas City. I think he planned on being in Kansas City for that conference.
I think it should be a board.
Who's gonna be on from the Corps? Isaac, I don't know by name, I mean by title, by their area.
I can
of
get
influence.
that, but I do
Would
not
you
know.
please?
Yes.
'Cause I've already got a conflict at that time that I'd have to change. But I would really like to have the opportunity, it's not face to face, but the conversation about that road and everything going across there that we have continually dealt with for a long period of time.
Yeah, I can,
It's a reservoir.
Yeah.
But we're talking county.
Oh, just the county lake.
Just county.
Yes.
Reservoir.
correct.
I missed.
We're doing
never
county
mind.
lake.
Well, you know,
Still be nice to talk.
slide something in there.
Anyway, okay.
That's why you have networking, right?
9 a.m.
Thursday.
So that'll be a special commission meeting, is that what I'm hearing?
Is that
I
9?
want to do.
9, Thursday at 9, yes.
Yeah, for whoever can make it.
As long as you have a quorum, 'cause hold a special.
I'll be here.
Yeah, it's 3 of us so far.
Yeah, I can be here, I think.
4 of us. You gonna be here?
I can be here, I think, yeah. Need to notice it.
Oh, I would occupy 7 rows if someone's wife can fix them. I haven't had them for a long time.
She's not teaching that day.
I don't know, she's busy maybe.
Okay, after that, just give you guys a little kind of updates on what we have going on. I'm in the process right now of getting up estimates for the possible campground upgrades that we have talked about. Also been getting estimates on some mower prices, we've talked about that. And we've been doing a bunch of shoreline cleanup and tree cleanup out at the lake. Bryce came out and talked with me this morning. I think that was last summer at some point. A few of the commissioners came out and looked at some culverts and stuff that we were having issues with. I think the plan is not next week. Looks like next week's gonna be pretty nasty, but the following week, it sounds like they're gonna try to come out to the lake and we're gonna try to get some of those issues addressed. So that's something that we're gonna be working on here within the next couple of weeks. The last thing was, and I'm not gonna do it today, but I went ahead, we talked about the revenue reports and the expense reports and all of that for both the lake and the bait shop. I have all of that stuff from the bait shop I've done with the year. For the lake, I've gone back to 2016 through now. So I don't know if that's something, I don't know, you know, we've talked about possibly price changing and all of that. If there's a time that we want to go over all of that stuff, I think it's probably going to take a little longer than 15 minutes to do, but I do have all of that information all put together. There's any time, and if there's anything in particular you guys want to look at, I've tried to separate it by trailer park and hall and campgrounds and all that and make it as easy as possible to know what we're looking at, but I have got that all put together if there's a time that works to kind of go over all that stuff.
Bring your gas bill in for the heated dog.
Okay, I got that.
I got that. I don't know what the new system does. I don't know what the new heaters do. I know what the old system did, but I don't know what the new ones do. Hopefully, but last month and going with the rate increase was last month, why? We may want to look at it. So.
Yeah.
I heard gas went down 50% on the open market a couple days ago.
Oh, right, I have heard that.
So maybe we could schedule a work session in February on one of
Okay.
the commission meeting days.
Perfect, that would work. And that's what I had today, unless you guys had any questions or anything in particular you wanted to talk to me about.
Well, I'm interested in buying a new mower for the cemetery, and I am got one on order, but I also heard that there's already one sitting over there that Marion County would like to purchase.
In Hillsborough?
Yeah.
We've talked about it, they got one,
It's a hyperdrive?
Yeah.
60 or 72?
it's a 62.
62.
Yes, and it has, I think compared to the one we have, it's additional 3.5 horsepower, and it's got an EFI, so it's there's no choke on it, it's all electric.
Right.
But yeah, we went over there and we've looked at it, we've talked to them, and there's the Gravely dealer, and we've talked to John Deere as well,
Okay.
so far we've been looking.
Okay. Okay, cool.
And the old ones, the two that you have,
Yes.
Trade.
One of them are one, we have a hyperdrive right now. That one I plan on keeping. The smaller one, the little Hustler, they said that they could, we'd probably trade that one in. They said that it'd probably still be
could
worse.
we use it, like, there needs to be one out stationed at the ambulance and new office building, so you don't have to haul yours to town, and, you know, that takes 3 hours for them to come down and mow for 10 minutes.
Especially with, you got two properties.
If they have room for it, I'd be all for
I mean,
it.
is
That
it
would,
worth
it was,
saving?
everything works and it runs fine.
Just for an hour a week, you know, is all,
That would save us some time as well, yeah.
because you had to load up and unload.
Yep. I don't know how long we've been doing that, but I know we've been doing it since I've been here.
Since we bought the building.
Since the building's there, okay,
Yep.
yep.
We bought more land now out there, so we tripled your money.
Yeah, there's some more to do now.
Just put that thought in. You know.
Okay, yep, I was gonna say, the smaller one,
Huh?
Where are you gonna store that?
I don't know, ambulance barn in the corner? I don't know.
Under a tarp in the back gated area.
We got that fenced in there in the back.
That's the only place you could. Yeah, you can store it back there, but it's
I
gonna be
mean,
outside.
the price is right, you know.
Yeah.
He's not gonna get anything on trade-in.
No, no.
And, but, you know, it takes 30 minutes in, 30 minutes back, and,
Yeah.
you know, you got 3 hours of labor to
In
come in and
between.
mow this. And one of the ambulance guys could mow it. The Bryce could do it. Teach one to mow it. See if he's listening.
I don't hear any maniacal laughter.
Throw something out of the screen at us.
I'm done, yeah.
Yeah.
Have you
Right?
checked the rates out of the lakes and camping and?
I have, and
Okay.
I kind of planned on throwing that all in together, and that's what I've
Well,
been
should
working
that?
on. Yeah, that's what I've been working on, and we had that, I guess you want to call it small lake managers meeting here back in November, and so I got all that information from a lot of the other lakes that are more similar to us, you know, compared to the state and federal lakes, the smaller county and city lakes.
So what are people doing?
We're a little lower than most of them on average. We're still lower than most of them on average. There's a few that are close to where we're at on rates, but we are probably the lowest out of all of them.
Do you take reservations for your plug-in
No.
sites? Okay.
Everything as far as campsites out there that we have are all first come, first served.
Nothing but positive. Thank God for the lake. Because at the reservoir, they gotta,
We had to open and close on kick.
well, yeah, and then you gotta reserve for
We've got
3 months
You gotta
ahead.
go online.
And then people book the thing up for the whole season.
And
So then everybody's coming there just bitter, and then they're finding out about the lake and realizing it's cheaper anyway.
Yep.
And they should be going there all along, and it's working out on our behalf.
it's a complete, yeah, and I mean, I think the first come, first served there because the reservoir, they've kind of completely switched over. They used to do kind of a little bit of both, and it sounds like they've pretty much completely switched over to
I
reservation.
don't think you can go in the office and do anything.
What they've done is actually
turn people.
No, just really amplified the other resource we have in this county, which is good.
Need to put in more plugins.
That's what we're looking at right now.
Everything else good?
Everything else has been going good, slowly but surely.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hey, have a good
Absolutely.
day.
We will, see you on
Thursday, 9 o'clock. If you get council, let us know.
Okay, okay. Thank you, guys.
Who's going to B&Z dinner?
The what?
Thursday, that's on Thursday night.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna call Andrew and tell him I'm not gonna make it.
Okay, you want to go first, John, or you want Brad to go first?
Makes no difference.
Go ahead and do that. since-
Okay.
Okay, for how long? 5 minutes or 10?
10.
Okay. Move that we recess an executive session in order to discuss property.
Potential property acquisition.
Potential property acquisition pursuant to KSA 75-43192 with commissioners, council, and Tina for 10 minutes, starting at 3:07, going to 3:17.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, we're back in regular session now. No decisions were made. And got Brad Jansen, County Councilor, has the floor.
Okay. We only have one left, actually, all the other things we've taken up in the course of other presentations today in terms of my list of 6. The last one left is the continuing education, and I'm going to refer to it that way, in certification. It starts with what Bryce had provided you from Chase County, for like CDL types of holders and that sort of thing over time. And naturally, as you go through that, I realized that that's great. And then I was going to go ahead and prepare a form for that regarding continuing service to the county if they were doing these types of programs and were paid to do it and were receiving any kind of reimbursement or upfront costs from the county. And that's a wise choice to make in that form that I've given you. I try to keep it to 1 page so it doesn't become so onerous and daunting to people. But I've changed it. All those lines on there are there for a reason. I'd like it to be more universally usable. Virtually every department in the county has some form of continuing education, different processes. That doesn't mean you're going to commit all these people in those various settings to stay here an extra year. But depending upon what it is that they're being trained to do and what we're paying for, particularly, for example, if you have people where I see it a lot, is emergency medical services. If you assist in the process of someone moving from, one level of EMT to another or to a paramedic, and you grow your own, you have a fair amount of expense tied up in that. And so having the ability to at least ensure that if they don't successfully complete, or if they do complete but don't stay more than a couple of months and then hop off and head to Wichita or somewhere else, that there's some ability to recoup. And that's what that form is for in dealing with that. I also looked at our personnel manual. We probably have to tweak that just a little bit if we're going to go ahead and do it in a broad-based format. And again, when you do that, you're not compelling department heads and or employees to necessarily have to do this. You can pick and choose. You just have to be careful that you're equitable in how you do it. So I wanted you to consider that. And I haven't talked to Tina about it to get her input or any of the other department heads, to be candid, but where I've done this elsewhere, we've done it more than just in one department.
We do have existing agreements in EMS.
And I knew thought that was the case, but I wanted to kind of just broaden that a bit. And again, it may not be something that this county culturally wants to do. If they don't, that's fine, but.
Does law enforcement have it?
Law enforcement
Yes.
transfers, so if they don't stay with us,
Oh, the bill goes with them.
it goes with them, yeah.
Reimbursement is
Just
required,
say doesn't,
statutory, yeah.
For the year, yeah.
And I believe there was board action that would approve us providing a CDL with a signed agreement. You all took action a couple months ago or 8
Yeah.
months back on that.
Yeah.
I think you gotta have something for them to sign. I mean, any of these cases, we gotta have
Right.
something down on paper.
And I could tailor it specifically to them only,
Yeah.
and that's fine.
Leave
If
the
you
title
will.
open.
It's just a matter of what you'd like to have.
Yeah, really, all you're gonna do is, once you get there,
I don't wanna be abused anymore.
2 weeks or whatever, all you can do is take what you can out of their last check would be about it, right? I mean, you can't really hold it to them.
You actually can.
It's a contract.
And I wrote this one as a contract,
Okay.
and then it's
I mean, like
contractual.
planning and zoning, they go to school.
Mhm.
We pay for that. I mean,
Yeah, the appraisers, go to
we'll
school.
continue in education.
Yeah. In some instances, we're getting more and more of that, where they're required to do it. Now, in
Can't
those
say
instances, necessarily trying to tie them to continuing employment may be a little different or a little more complex, but.
Right. In the
Unfunded
appraiser's
mandates.
office, they have to have those courses to do our
Just to be
specific
able to
work
do it,
here.
right.
You can't do it without,
So it's part and parcel of their job description.
They have to maintain a certification for.
right, and it's specific to government work, so.
But they could go somewhere else and get a job. I mean,
Government-wise,
I don't know.
somewhere it pays better. Hopefully not for a while. Hopefully we've outran everybody a little bit.
So, anyway, the task was to put something that we could utilize for
CDL.
that one program for CDLs. And I can make this suffice fairly readily because the general form won't change a great deal. I'll just make it very specific. But in the context of doing that, I thought I'd raise the issue for you guys to think about if you wanted it to be broader than that. Then I would create the form work so that it can be used in other settings as well.
I think it'd be nice to have one with a few blanks in it that we can
Okay.
use where we wanted to. If we see,
Within the city of Sedgwick.
No,
yeah.
can't be in the city of Sedgwick, gotta be in Marion.
That,
County.
what I started with was an EMS agreement from there, and it was 4 pages long and just too much. That inevitably happens to me, that there's one of those lines that doesn't get read.
That's all right. Somehow they gotta agree to our Marion County Commission for the city of Sedgwick.
Actually, they don't have an ambulance department anymore, we could get a bunch of help from over there.
Did that shut down, did it?
Yeah,
It was on the news not too long ago.
yeah, they're still looking at what they can do in the alternative. Right now, it's a joint agreement with Holsted.
Oh.
I digress. Okay, well, what I'll probably do, just so that that moves ahead for Bryce's purposes, make that one very specific, but also have one that's generic in nature if you want to utilize that. Okay.
Could we make that for CDL anywhere in the county as far as maybe transfer station
Yeah.
included as well as road and bridge?
Yeah, that was my intent. Yeah, it's a good point, because it started with just road and bridge with the agreement
Right.
that Chase County has.
Right.
You'll recall, was just really road and bridge, and so I've already, that's kind of where this started. I thought, well, for CDL even, that would need to be broader,
Right.
so.
But I guess my suggestion would be to move ahead with the CDL portion of it at this point.
Okay. Okay, I'll bring the other one as well, just in case we ever want to use it for any reason. And that was it. The other things we've already discussed today in terms of extraterritorial and planning and zoning on the term. Vance Brothers, we've gone over the bridge closing, we had the hearing. So, yeah.
Commercial rock roads.
Yeah, and also the open range thing. There's a lot more to that than I thought there was. We'll need to just get that one. We'll take probably about a half hour by itself.
going out to see a field up in South Dakota and I had to cross 3 fence lines. There's no roads.
I compared it state to
There's just
state.
an easement, and you drive and close the gate behind you.
Further north you get,
Cattle guards.
the more, the broader it is. Montana, it's just all like that.
Colorado that way
Yeah.
too. Once you get up in the mountain range, it just, you
Some
open
of,
the gate.
some of those
you open
western
the ranges.
states are still, handled by the Grange,
Yeah,
which
Bureau.
I don't know if Kansas ever was part of that, but you get to Wyoming and Montana, you'll see signs,
Mhm.
something about land laws or something administered by the Grange.
it's the same thing in Texas, in the Panhandle portion, in western Texas. They've still got it in place.
Yeah.
So. Okay.
Okay. Any public comments?
Personnel discussion?
Huh?
Is that what?
I had put that on, but I just brought everything up in the open session.
Okay.
So,
Wow. I thought we were way behind that. We're way,
No, kind of cut off
right
right
on
away.
time.
Commissioner comments? Dave has nothing to say?
Aloha.
Aloha.
Make the motion that we adjourn.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. 5-0. Thank you, everybody.